growing up in the early 2000s with a GameCube on hand, all I played every day was Sonic Adventure DX and Sonic Adventure 2, two games that really defined my childhood a lot, and Sonic Heroes. One of my first video games ever being Sonic Advance 3 on the Game Boy, which I love. But I never did play the original 2D games that made Sonic what it really is today, and made this franchise, kickstart this franchise into what it is. So I thought it would be the perfect opportunity to go ahead and play Sonic 1 for the first time. Now, I'm sure we've all heard the interesting facts, especially if you're watching this video. We've all heard the cool facts and origin story of Sonic and how Sega wanted something to rival Nintendo with Mario on their new Sega Genesis Mega Drive system, and they wanted something to be a cooler version, more appealing version than Mario. And I never have been the biggest Mario guy, so instead of giving the typical story which we all know, I thought I'd give a couple small facts before we get started in the meat of this video that I thought were pretty interesting when I was looking up some research for this. One of those being one of the original character designers, Naoto Oshima, was when they were still deciding on who was going to be the mascot for this new game. They chose between like an armadillo and a rabbit and a dog were all considered before they picked the hedgehog. How this was picked actually was that Oshima planned a trip to New York while the character discussion was happening internally, and knowing the team wanted to see some examples of characters along these lines, he sketched them on boards in Central Park and started showing just random people, and was gauging the reactions off that, and the result ended up being, well, Sonic what it is today. So, the most popular was a hedgehog, which is kind of neat. So another interesting fact about Sonic was we all know the classic Sonic the Hedgehog emblem. Well, in the beginning, Oshima was really into airplane art and airplane emblems and leather jackets and stuff like that at the time. So when he went to present this new character to the Sega higher-ups, he used a lot of that influence, and that's how we got the emblem we did today, which I thought was really neat. And so it kind of makes a lot of sense now that you kind of see that, and it kind of does look like a Top Gun-y airplane emblem. So in Sonic, one thing that I always hear, and I disagree with, is that Sonic is about speed, and although he is fast, his central design is not about speed. It's about using the physics-based momentum to platform from start to finish in these games, and the common misconception here is Sonic's speed is a given, like he immediately will go fast, but his speed is really the reward for being skilled and using the game's physics to your advantage. It's not hold right to win, which is what I hear a lot of people talk about now. Unfortunately, it's kind of, I'm not dogging on any form of the Sonic games at all, but it's kind of gotten where it's been a lot easier to get super fast, but in the older games, it's always been the reward was if you knew what you were doing, you would go fast, So now that we have talked a little bit about Sonic, and kind of what it stands for when it comes to the core gameplay mechanics and a little bit of history, now I present to you.
Report cargo status of captured Hedgehog aboard. Over.
That's a 10-4. Cargo secured on board and... What?
Didn't
The
copy
Hedgehog
that.
is
Over.
gone. He's taken out everyone aboard and...
What's wrong?
What in the
Come
world?
in. Over.
Freeze! What do you...
To understand what made this great, I think we need to go back a couple years. Over the years, Sonic 1, like most of the 2D games, has gotten a lot of ports. In 2020, I would definitely say the definitive way to play this is the Sega Ages version on the Switch, and I believe it's on mobile also. It adds a lot of cool quality of life improvements. There's also a level select, time and score attack are added. The spin dash and the drop dash from Mania is added into it as two movesets you can switch between, which is pretty nice. And then also there's playable Tails and Knuckles, which is cool. And then if you're on PC and you're looking for a little bit more of a classic experience, PC Sega Genesis Mega Classics is really good. It's a lot more faithful to the original, but there's a lot more smaller quality of life improvements, like save states, and then you can also mod it and stuff like that, which is neat. So you get, like both of those, like I'd say the Sega Ages Switch and the PC Mega Classics version, and then the mobile version of the Sega Ages are the three ways to definitely play this now. I want to briefly touch on the gameplay because it is a little bit different from most of the um, releases after this. Obviously, they're refining it in this one, but it's interesting. I didn't know that Sonic 1 doesn't have a spin dash originally. Obviously, in the Sega Ages port, it's there. So when I went to go play it on the computer, there's no spin dash. And also, one of the big things, and I see this as kind of divisive, I really enjoyed the slower platforming in this game. The zones like Labyrinth and Marble Zone, which have a lot more slower platforming and more precise platforming, I really enjoyed. And the game physics in this, they require a lot of a buildup of the momentum to go fast rather than a faster acceleration, and some people don't particularly like that too much. I do. And Sonic controls like incredibly well in this one. I honestly feel like he controls out of the classic games. He controls probably in some of the better aspects for it. Just with his jumps and especially in the air, it's a lot. It feels very precise and like it's perfect for how they get that down. And regarding a lot of these zones, so I'm gonna break the zones down, and the zones generally offer three main routes. Generally being a hard, easy, and middle. The hardest is requires a lot more precise platforming, and but you get through with the stage quite fast. And then the easiest is generally at the bottom, and you kind of just can. There's a lot of obstacles. You'll generally have a slower time, and then in the middle, it's a good blend of the two. I'll show you some zones later, and I'll give some examples of that. And then one thing that in Sonic 1, which is different from all the other games, is that it gives you 3 acts per zone, and that's like a lot different compared to the 2D games. Sonic Team chose to go with more zones and less acts in the later games, because I believe there's only like 6 acts or 6 zones in this, which is interesting. But like generally, like my opinion on it was like I liked this that they got rid of the third act, because like in a lot of them it tends to drag on, and like even though it's nice having the boss fight like as its own little stage, it kind of drags on, and like I don't know, I wasn't really a big fan of the 3 act stages. I'm gonna briefly talk about the in quotes story for this. There really isn't one, but to at least put it there for note, yeah. So like basically like Sonic has to beat Dr. Eggman, who's imprisoned all the animals into these like giant robots, and has stolen the 6 Chaos Emeralds. And obviously, it's his job to go stop him and then get them back. And then one of the things I thought that was really cool, which I don't see a lot of people talk about that much, at least anecdotally, is there's actually a decent amount of environmental storytelling, like nothing like 3K level or anything like that in that sense, but for the 2D games, but it's neat to see like the transition from like zone to zone, and how like you slowly and slowly are getting closer and closer to like the base, and it gets more industrial and more industrial as you get closer and closer to Eggman's base. And I thought that was really neat to see that. And because like you go like to Starlight Zone, right, and then which is, it has like this weird mix of like kind of like serene, peaceful, like night sky, but it also has like the factory to it, like so it's like two mixed into one. It's kind of a weird zone, but I really enjoyed it. And then you have then that goes straight to the final zone, which is like full industrial, full. I mean, Sonic's in the heart of it, and like that I thought that was really neat. Like that kind of stuff, like the small stuff like that, like I really enjoyed. Alright, so let's get started with the iconic Green Hill Zone. So, as we all know, I mean, everyone knows Green Hill Zone. There's a reason why it's so iconic, and so it's interesting that, it starts out with this, like, lush, beautiful, just, like, green hills, waterfalls, and obviously the music is just so iconic. In this, as you can see, there's the 3 routes. The highest is the toughest, and it's considerably the fastest route with the most precise platforming. Um, a lot of areas you can drop off and go to the lower routes, but if you're good and you know what you're doing, you can fly through this. The middle route gives an even mix of the platforming and speed, so you get like a pretty even mix, and like you're generally, you're not gonna have like the fastest time, but and then you get the third route, which is generally the ground route. It's the lowest elevation wise, and it's generally like the easiest, and it's also the easiest to get stopped and stop using your momentum from getting hit by an obstacle or something, and it will give you a slower time generally. Um, what makes Green Hill Zone so iconic, I feel, is like there's a lot of rewards for exploration and speed, especially in Sonic 1. One that comes to mind when that I'm thinking of is the uh, there's an area where there's a giant cliff, and if you have enough speed in Sonic 1 and you roll or you turn into a ball, you'll go ahead and break through it, and that was really cool. It's easier to do that in like the newer ports because you have to spin dash and stuff like that, but like it's still pretty awesome. And then each act progresses you through the island, which is cool, to the first encounter with Eggman, and it's a pretty easy boss. It's just the Wrecking Ball that I'm sure we all know of. Next after Green Hill was Marble Zone, and this was like the first zone that made me realize like, holy crap, like Sonic 1 is amazing. um, I love the design of this area because you come from like like the lush green hills, you know waterfalls, all that stuff. And then you get to this area where it's like a lot more mountainous, and then like there's these cool ruins that come out of the earth from the ground like shifting and stuff. And then I this is where like I started to love the slower platforming because it started evident here, and I apparently like not a lot of people like that from what I've seen, but I really enjoyed it. It felt very rewarding because like there's certain areas that you can like just flat out skip if you know what you're doing and you have the momentum. You can just straight up skip them instead of having to go through like the slower platforming that a lot of people apparently don't enjoy. Um, I love this zone so much. And the music is so good. The music is so good in this. I enjoyed the boss in this one a lot from having to hop from platform to platform with the fire. I actually had quite a bit of trouble getting through this area, but it was pretty fun. So after the transition from Marble Zone, you go to Spring Yard Zone, which is the first of the, for some reason, iconic casino levels in the Sonic franchise. I've never really understood that, nor have I really been a big fan of really any of the casino levels, except like Casinopolis and the one from Sonic Heroes, which I forgot the name of that one, but that one's really good in my opinion. Personally, I'm not the biggest fan of this zone. It's quite mid and it's rather forgettable. Like when I go to play this, I'm kind of just thinking like, oh great, I gotta go through Spring Yard again. It has a really weird design. Like it's like half industrial and then like half casino-ish, and like it doesn't really work. And then like the color palette is just really like bleh because you have a lot of like these like grays and like browns and like rustic like colors, and it doesn't go good with what I was trying to do, I felt. The hazards are also kind of annoying with like the spinning spikes and stuff. They're spinning balls. I don't know. I just wasn't really a big fan. The music is good. It's not on par with the first two zones, but I mean, like either way, like it still is pretty decent. Yeah, the boss fight in this one is not that good. I mean, it's pretty easy, but like you're basically just waiting around until Eggman comes down and comes down with the spike. It's all right. I mean, um, now next is one of my favorite zones in all of the classic games probably. I love Labyrinth Zone so much. I really enjoy the water levels in this. Sonic controls and handles really well, in my opinion, and it makes the water physics pretty bearable. And generally, like water levels in a lot of platformers are kind of annoying. Some that come to mind, especially in the Crash series, they can give it a little floaty. Um, I really like the slower style of this zone. It's a nice change of pace compared to the like, rather faster zones like Green Hill and somewhat Spring Yard. The precise platforming, like most Sonic levels, lets you skip a decent amount of the underwater sections, which again is very rewarding for the player who has like the skills to be able to do that. It rewards them for going fast. Going fast is an earned reward in this, and that's what I really appreciate, which you don't see a lot in the newer games. And while being a water zone, I feel like the air bubbles are placed like pretty strategically, and they make the player think like how far they can go without refilling air. So like you really gotta like have that in your mind, and like I really enjoyed that. They never felt like the water sections never felt like they overstayed their welcome, which because like there's a decent amount of like going outside and in the water in this, and there's just a lot of like relatively like slower platforming, but again, like I really enjoyed that. And I love the architecture of the levels in this, or the acts in this one. It's really a cool atmosphere, and the design of like the Greek and Roman influence in the ruins was just really cool. I felt like it was very unique. And then the boss of the zone is just kind of evading the rising water while chasing Eggman. It's fun and it's like really challenging. I had to restart a lot on this. It was tough for me. It was really tough for me, and it's mainly due to the spears that come out of the walls. But like as a boss, it wasn't anything of real note. Like I'd say. And the music in this section is like it's top tier. It's so good. It is so good. I love the music in this area. And then here comes my favorite zone, Starlight Zone. Its atmosphere of this level is amazing in my opinion. It has a gorgeous night sky, like with quiet, like a quiet serenity to it with the music. The music is like amazing. Amazing. Like I still think about this zone like a lot, and it has like a peaceful feeling to it, and almost like a magical atmosphere, and all while having such a normal Sonic flair to it, with it being on top of an industrial plant outside of a city before the final rush of the final zone. It's really like a weird area and a weird zone, which like two like completely different themes just like mashed into one, and I really just like I really loved it. I don't know what it was, but I really loved it. And the trampoline seesaws for me were like really fun, and they come back a lot in like the later games, but like I really enjoyed that. And the actual acts in this were also very fun in my opinion. They balance a lot of the slower platforming, the precise platforming, it perfectly with the obvious given areas where they want you to go fast with the downward ramps and the fans pushing you and stuff like that. It's just so damn fun in areas on this zone. It's like I still come back to Sonic 1 just to play this zone. The boss is kind of boring, since you're basically just waiting around for Eggman to just drop the spike so you can do the trampoline gimmick and have them hit him, or you hit him yourself. Yeah, there's not really much to say. Like I'll be on, like a lot of the bosses in this one, I don't know, it didn't really do too much for me, but overall, like I love this zone so much. When I first played this on when I first did this playthrough about a month ago, I hated this zone. I absolutely hated it. But once I replayed it for getting footage for this video, I actually really enjoyed it a lot more than my first playthrough. At this point, like it's really neat because you like throughout like the story, like it goes Starlight, which seems like it's almost like outside of like the quote unquote Eggman land on this one, or like his factory. And so like you go into Scrap Brain, which is like like his lair, and then he's like fully inside the base, and so like you have like the full on industrial heart going on there. And there's a big emphasis on a lot of slower platforming here, which is a common theme throughout the whole game in this. I really enjoyed it, although the waiting around for some areas, crushing blocks, that was kind of annoying. Again, my first playthrough, I absolutely hated the crushing blocks, but on the second run, like they were pretty inoffensive. It's really awesome when you get to the end of Act 2 though, because like it completely switches up. It's so cool. Because you get to the end of Act 2, right, and then Eggman will trap you, and it's a screen transition, and you see like kind of like a almost like a parallel with 3K, because like of what they were trying to go for there, and with the level transitions and stuff, and like I thought that was really neat, because what happens is like he traps you and then you fall all the way down to the crystal ruins, and which kind of also gives a little bit environmental storytelling, because it shows that like like Eggman built this whole entire thing, his base, on top of the crystal ruins there, which is really cool, I thought. And it kind of goes like Labyrinth Zone Part 2 there, but again, I love that. I love Labyrinth Zone, so like I kind of love this area. I really like the water sections in this area too, which we get one final one of, which is nice. Again, Act 3 rewards good platforming by not having to do as much of the water areas. The music also really grew on me for this zone. It has a very dramatic and final battle feel to it, which I really loved. Really makes you feel like you're going, and doing the final push, which was really cool to see. And then and then the final zone, which I don't really consider like a zone in like a ranking or anything, but so like you finally make it all the way back up top to the surface, and you're face to face with the final boss for Eggman, and I really enjoyed this boss. It's my favorite in the game. It took me a bit to hit him, but like I really liked it because it kept me on my feet because I didn't know which side he was gonna come out of. And they actually also, I believe, recreate this in Mania, which was kind of neat. And then you know, it was a pretty good final boss. I thought it was a pretty solid. You know, Sonic 1 really boss wise didn't have like the like most outstanding, and I kind of feel like I feel that way about most of the 2D bosses, to be honest. Like you don't really hear a lot of people talk about like a majority of them because a lot of them are kind of mid except for like a handful. And then you have like it's cool because like during the credits you have like the nice victory lap, which is neat because it shows Sonic going through all the stages again. You kind of get to see like, you know, like just a retread of all of them. I thought that was kind of neat. I love the special stages in this game. I love them so much. There's like it's a really trippy vibe to them, which is really neat. It's kind of like psychedelic in some area, like with like the changing backgrounds and stuff. It's funny because in Sonic 1 there's only 6 Chaos Emeralds and they look nothing like the gems in the later games. And it's quite challenging getting to the special stages in this because you need the 50 plus rings, and you know if you get hit you have no rings. You need the 50 rings at the end of the level, and then there's like a giant donut ring that will appear. You jump in there, and then yeah, I'm not really sure what it is, but like the music is like out there and like relaxing and peaceful to me, and like it really does do a number on me for the special stages. I really enjoyed the pinball gameplay. I don't know what it is, but like I love them. I love having to juggle Sonic on the colored diamonds to get the Chaos Emeralds. It actually was kind of, it's not like hard, but it's just like you gotta angle it correctly, and it was quite fun. Yeah, so as I was saying, like the music is like phenomenal in this game. You know, it's insane to think that, especially you know at the time frame, I think it was 1991 this came out. Like to have this kind of banging soundtrack on a platformer was insane. You know, it ranges from peaceful to like kind of magical with like Starlight Zone to like very dramatic and high stake with like Scrap Brain Zone and the final boss. So for a tier placement, so this is definitely going in S tier. I love Sonic 1 so much. It's such a good game, and like if you haven't played it, like I really like I was beating myself in the head with not playing this earlier. Like I had so much fun playing Sonic 1. I really was expecting this to not age well and to honestly be kind of shit, but like it was actually like really good. I really enjoyed it, and like I still come back and play it like some sections of it like a lot, and this game has held up so well. It's really amazing. You know, it's almost what about 20 years now, and it still is phenomenal. So yeah, Sonic 1 going in the S tier. Next is going to be Sonic 2. Let me know what you thought on my opinions on this. I really, really, like I said, I really love this game, and I'm open to all opinions on it, and I'm curious to see what everyone has to say. So see you in the next video.